When storytelling goes wrong, it goes really wrong. And that 15 minutes at the water cooler with your coworker winding and weaving his or her way through the entirety of the kid's third birthday party can make you want to respond like the principal in the movie Billy Madison.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Harsh, but true. But when storytelling goes right, 2 hours can feel like 2 minutes, and every little anecdote leaves you wanting more. That's the idea behind a special marathon showing of WGBH and the World Channel's Stories from the Stage, airing this weekend. It features a full 24 hours of stories from dozens of people, bringing to life their stories from the mundane to the insane. The show's co-host, Theresa Okokon, and two of the storytellers, marketing manager turned pro poker player Bernard Lee and Rosanna Salcedo, who is Dean for Equity and Inclusion at the Cambridge School in Weston, join me now. Thanks to all three of you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
What's the, for those who haven't seen it, and my studio is right next door, I love it. What's the idea behind this? Not the marathon, but the whole concept of the show.
Sure. So Stories from the Stage is a show that is a collaboration between WGBH, World Channel, and Massmouth. And the whole purpose is to have local, real people sharing stories about their own lives. Real people is the critical part of this, having watched a lot of it.
How do you go from interest as a real person to the stage? What's that process like?
I mean, some of the storytellers might be able to tell you, but I think the biggest process is believing that what you have to say is important to other people, that other people might want to hear it. And generally speaking, human beings are interested in other human beings. So as long as you believe this is worth saying out loud, other folks are going to want to hear it. And then you want to say it in a compelling way.
So Bernard, you tell in a compelling way a story about a conflict between, at least this is my summary of it, responsibility to family, an opportunity to do something on your personal bucket list. Your wife is not well, but you're a poker player and you have an opportunity to play in the World Series of Poker. Why'd you want to tell that story? Why was that your choice?
You know, it really is kind of where I am today. I have two loves in my life, family and poker, and I've brought them together, and I'm fortunate enough that my wife allows me to play poker, because really it's not something that she signed up for when we got married 23 years ago. And by the way, you make that clear in your story. For those who think you're a heartless lout, you didn't just run out to the tournament. Your wife bought in. You had somebody come and take care of her. Hey, was there any stage fright? I mean, by the way, I do this every single night. The notion of standing up in front of an audience, to me, and telling a story with no script in front of me is terrifying, I have to say. Totally. Was there any you seemed totally relaxed. I'll be honest with you, I really didn't have stage fright per se.
What'd you have?
I think it was the process of the storytelling. It was very, very different than what I've been in front of crowds of thousands of people telling and lecturing, etc. But to tell a story and to really capture their imagination.
It's about you.
Yeah,
and
it's different. And you're really, really opening up to that crowd.
Speaking of intimate, your story, I cried. It is so beautiful. Story of your upstairs neighbor, Edith, I think her name was, and a little kid, you being the little kid in this incredibly tender relationship. Why'd you choose that? And also, is that, when it's so personal and so intimate, how hard is that to tell in front of a room of people you don't know?
It was hard, but I had been wanting to tell that story for so long. I'm an educator, I'm also a writer, and my preferred genre is personal narrative, so I've written a lot of personal narrative over the years.
But writing it on a piece of paper and telling it to a crowd of people is very different.
Very different, but someone approached me. We were hosting at the Cambridge School of Weston Suitcase Stories, and when you choose to host, they ask a member of the community to do a story, and they asked me if I would do a story.
How'd you feel afterwards, after you had told it?
Yeah, and it's the first time. It was the first time I had ever told a story.
How'd that feel?
It felt amazing because of the audience's reaction. Because I think there was not a dry face in the crowd.
How'd you feel?
I felt great. It was also really nice because my wife was in the audience.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
that's
she was.
Great.
They don't reference it. They do pan to her really quickly, but she was there. She heard the story, and she actually didn't hear me rehearsing it, so it was almost fresh for her. So it was really nice.
You know, when you were interviewing her, Rosanna, before she did her thing, she used the term, which I hope she didn't mean. She talked about performing her story. And one of the reasons why I found these so compelling and everything you do so compelling is there's no performance. To me, it is the telling.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to disparage it. I love it. It's the telling. Maybe, I don't know what the verb is, but I don't feel like it's a performance. Isn't that a critical part that it
I think that's a sign of a good teller, is that it feels like they are sitting across the table from you or sitting at a restaurant with you, just having a conversation with you.
Exactly, that's how it felt.
It is an art form, though. I mean, make no mistake, it is an art form, and there's, you know, rehearsing and practicing and preparing that goes into it, but you need to be practiced and ready to the point that you can deliver this story, but still feel like natural as it's happening, and that's an art. That's an art form.
If people are close to there but not quite at that point, what do you do as the leader of this pack to help get them there? I mean, that's part of your mission, obviously.
Yeah,
so how do you get them from almost ready to ready?
Yeah, so I am a coach on the show. I coach some of the storytellers, usually not ones on my episodes, but on episodes of my co-host Wes Hazard. And part of it is just like getting them to stand up and say it. Say it, put your notes down, it's your life, so you know what happened. Just say it out loud. And the best parts for me are those little tidbits that make you feel like a human, like the bagels bit, you know, like it lets us know this is not just a person who's just really good at doing this thing.
She
They're
says,
also
what's a
human
bagel
being.
after
Exactly.
it's all heard to her?
Exactly. It's those human moments, you know.
Why do you think storytelling is so seductive? I mean, why is that form of communication, for me at least, and I think for the audience, the most powerful connecting kind of thing?
Well, I think it's our society now. Everyone doesn't look at each other. No one talks to each other. Everyone's transfixed by their phones and by their iPads. And now that you're able to tell this story, it actually is even more compelling today because so many people don't communicate.
Why is it so seductive, do you think? And I think it is not just to me. I think to everybody. Why?
Oh, I personally get a real kick out of moving people. I think that, I mean, feeling your feelings is so important. And so when I was telling the story, especially the second time, I really wanted to make eye contact and make that human connection with my audience.
You did.
Yeah.
So you have 30 seconds. Pitch this wonderful weekend. It's this marathon. It's unbelievable.
Oh, boy.
So do it.
So we're doing a 24-hour marathon. It starts on Saturday, and there's going to be live chatting on Facebook starting at 7 p.m. on Saturday with me and then my co-host on Sunday. It's 24 hours of episodes. You'll get to see every episode. What I'm really hoping that people are able to do is that even if they've already seen the stories, that they get to see those stories again and feel maybe a new thing from it.
I'll be watching.
I'm so glad. We have storytellers from all over the world. I mean, we work really hard to create a diverse cast on the show and, you know, showcase people that you might not otherwise see on television.
You got two good ones here.
Absolutely.
Rosanna, nice to meet you. Thanks so much, Bernard. Good luck. Thanks so much. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Good luck with your work. You can see the Stories from the Stage Marathon on the World Channel starting this Saturday at 7 p.m.